I hope that one day the collapse of society is not what has to bring us together for us to have any type of conversation that leads to change. Because why is it that suffering is the only time that people think about others outside of themselves? I'm really tired of the worst case scenario ultimately being what brings people together. It's like the commitment that people have to ignoring the elephant in the room as long as they are confident that it will never touch them, that it will never affect them. Um, and I think more and more this timeline is just revealing the selfishness that has been groomed into us as a species. Like, the powers that be have been, for the most part, successful in exactly what they've been trying to do, which is to make us complacent to whatever things they want to enact to keep themselves in power, to keep money in their pockets, to keep our attention spans very fragile and minimal. Like, there's really not a communal bone in a lot of people's bodies. Let me keep the intro short. Welcome to Existentially Fed. Here is me reflecting on the election. I think like 2 days. I don't know. Time is blurring already. Time is blurring. I know I'm gonna blink and it's gonna be a month after the election, and I'm gonna blink again and it's going to be January 20th when this man, he who shall not be named, is going to be in office. So I'm experiencing a multitude of emotions. I think today I was finally able to like fully tap into and ground in my rage, as somebody who holds many intersecting identities that this country deems not worthy of life. I feel grief. I feel pain. I feel sadness. I feel a bit of fear, but I think that that fear is outweighed by my, how do I describe this? My feeling of I'll be damned if I let these goons take away what precious time I have to live on this planet for myself. I'll be damned if people think that they can write away my choice, my inherent choice as a human being who exists on this planet that is free 99 as far as the Big Bang is concerned. Um, I'll be damned if I allow another person outside of myself to strip away my will to live and convince me that there is nothing to look forward to. Um, because it is very clear that in this country, especially when it comes to marginalized people, either they kill you physically or they kill your spirit. And what the killing of the spirit, killing of the soul looks like is walking around as an empty vessel for whatever they tell you to believe in, whatever they tell you to value, whatever they tell you is worth your time and energy. The death of the soul is when you allow these external forces to tell you what your value is. And when you are somebody that they see as having no value whatsoever, that is how you are going to move throughout the world. And so I refuse to submit to that narrative. Um, as much as these systems and as much as these people can tell me that I am gum at the bottom of their shoe, I am not going to walk through this life believing that, because that is a waste of my time. And I think ultimately that's where I'm at, beyond the pain that I feel, because it's also coming from like an inner child place where I think about um, the pain that I've always felt since I was really, really young, surrounding realizing these things, like the parts I remember, the multiple times in my life that my innocence has died when I recognized just how poorly this world views people like me. Um, and all the dreams that crushed in me at a young age, all of the insecurities that gave me. But um, in true black sheep fashion, I do everything out of spite. I do everything to bring justice to that version of myself. And I have always told myself that I would rather die trying to achieve what it is I know that I deserve than to submit to a reality where I'm not allowed to achieve it. Not because of the contents of my character, nothing, but just because I was born into the body, into the life, into the expression that um, that I have been. And that is a very heavy, heavy thing to carry. There are some days where I am crushed by it. And every day that I allow that weight to become heavier and heavier is another day lost to actually live my life. But I also understand that that is easier said than done. And I've gotten a long way just by believing in myself and just by saying F you to whatever people have to say. But there is a communal fight that needs to be had to maintain that stamina, maintain that resilience. I have always been very determined to breathe life into myself. Um, but there are times where the circumstances and the systems that we live under make that very painful and make that a dilemma of choosing yourself or being able to survive. And a lot of marginalized people have had to give up who they are, who they know themselves to be, um, give up a reality in which they can stand in their power just so that they can have food to eat and shelter and some semblance of community. It's important to have people who believe in your right to live as much as you do. And I feel like a lot of us have had to source our own motivation to be alive. And the circumstances that we face every single day are ones that have lost us a lot of people. I just really want us post this election to not even give as much of our time to the show that is going to be put on in front of us for the next 4 years, because the performance that they're going to put on could be enough to scare a lot of people into submission, scare a lot of people into abandoning themselves and abandoning their communities. Like, we've already seen some of it. We've already seen so many people, and that's a part of why they were able to snatch this election, is because they have successfully used enough propaganda, successfully filled people's minds with enough doubt to get them to abandon their humanity if it means gaining the illusion of protection that they are putting on the table. And I said this in my last video, but that is enough for a lot of people to switch over. And so instead of arguing, we need to do what we do best, which is be ourselves, which is use our time and energy and attention and put it into the places that matter. Boost those things instead of platforming rage baiters, instead of arguing with people who are obviously already hell-bent on propping up this machine. Support the people who are deconstructing it. Support the people who are leading as examples of what it looks like to not submit to this. Like, truly mobilize in the sense that everything that you invest in is toward the liberation of yourself and others. And once you start, it will become as easy as breathing. I don't think some of y'all understand, like, the Conservative Party organized like there was no tomorrow. This wasn't just a happening of them coming together and having a hive mind moment and voting this in swiftly. This was years in the making. Since he stopped being president the first time, since he was running the first time, they have been planning for this return. They have been campaigning out of spite. They have been planting seeds in so many spaces and so many people and have been propped up to be what they are right now. Can you imagine the same man who took over Twitter is now about to be appointed to be one of Trump's right-hand men? And y'all still shit posting on that app. Thinking, it can't be that bad. This man was offering people millions of dollars to hit the polls. These people have been networking and collaborating for a mutual agenda of protecting each other. Trump himself is literally just a mascot for this. He is one individual who is a mouthpiece for socials. He exudes the same energy that all the other celebrities that people see on social media exude. He is for the entertainment value of it all. But in terms of like the actual people who have the actual knowledge to appoint very meticulous and very strategic things that will be the demise of us all, those people are the ones that you don't see parading on the internet. And those are the people that we need to be prepared for. He was their way in. I just really want y'all to not get distracted by that. Just pay attention and use your voice for what actually matters. Be grounded in what your role can be in all of this. What knowledge do you have? What skills do you have? What passions do you have that could be useful? You don't have to be an activist, right? You just have to be a human who believes in humans' right to health and well-being. And to use that intention, use that desire, use that empathy as the backbone, the foundation of anything that you put out in this world. And that will be enough to lead by a tremendous example. I think so many people get intimidated by the politics of it all and think, well, I'm not well versed in this language. I don't know how to, and that's where a lot of this breakdown is. Like that's the problem. The ways we are alienating people from these conversations is because we are not making it clear how impact can be made on a small scale in each individual person's life. We need to bring back the accessibility of this work, of this healing. That impact is supposed to accumulate to a bigger movement. And so think of yourself as a piece, as a seed. The only thing that I'm focused on right now is what I can do to be the most useful. Not that that is my only purpose here, is to be of use, of service, but if the labor is going towards other people as well as myself being able to have safety, to be themselves, and to live lives that aren't us settling for the bare minimum, which is literally in hell right now, then I'm gonna do everything in my power. People have had this negative connotation for so long with work because we've been exploited to do things that we don't connect with and that overstep our boundaries. There is a way to contribute to society to your communities in a way that is accommodating and accessible and holds space for your limitations. And the point of organizing is so that when you don't have the capacity, somebody else will, and the work will still get done. In order for us to trust that process of knowing that when we need to rest, when we need to pause, we need to ground, that another person is going to do that work, another person is going to do that work, we need to trust one another. We need to trust one another, and also trust in ourselves that we are going to get back up, and that the people who have taken their pause are going to get back up. It takes a level of commitment to having this work, having this movement work. Labor does not have to look like abandoning yourself. Labor can actually be pleasurable. Labor can actually be healing. Investing your energy, investing your body, investing your spirit into a movement, into a hobby, into something that you actually are passionate about can actually bring so much value to your life. So do what you can to have those conversations that creates a sense of respect and safety. From this video, I really want y'all to sit with yourselves and take time to think about how you want to move forward for the next 4 years. And I know people are intimidated by thinking ahead, thinking into the future, but that is what we are working with right now. Our future is meant to be a collaboration between our present self and our past self. The wisdom that our past self has passed down to our present self, and the work that we are willing to do in the now to ensure that whatever we have control of right now trickles down into the future and alleviates some of the burden, some of the confusion, some of the fear. So do that work now. Every moment is precious, but don't let it overwhelm you. Don't become paralyzed. Be gentle with yourself. Because as you can clearly see, the pressure, the anger that we are projecting on one another is not helping. It's time to move from compassion. So let's humanize one another, for real. We all have different levels of knowledge on what's going on, but in the greater scheme of where we're headed as a people, none of us know a damn thing. None of us know a damn thing. So let's stop. Let's stop. And let's get back to what actually matters. My focus is on how I can help my people eat. How I can bring smiles on the faces of people who will be affected by this time the most. How to do what I can to be the bridge between someone and a place for them to live and the resources that they need to be themselves. I want to be the hope. So at the very least, I'm not asking you to be anything but hope, a physical embodiment of hope. And the more that we pour that energy into ourselves and those around us, the stronger we will be as a collective. And so, grieve where you can, but I also want you to remember all the things that you love and care about, and remember why they are worth fighting for. I'm gonna leave y'all with that one. I will have more to say at a later date, but for now,